Hello, Jerry here with Season 4, Episode 32 of Ask Jerry Tachoir. And my apologies for not doing these videos. It's been a little while since my last one. I've been on tour. It's been a very, very busy time and didn't have my instrument available because it was on the road also. And this is one of those things that you just can't do on the road. I have to do it back in my studio. So again, I'm sorry that it's been kind of a long time. It's been about a month and a half since my last one. I opened also with a Chick Corea piece, and I decided to do that because I was thinking of Chick today, and I so miss him. I can't believe he's not with us anymore. But I remember at Berkeley in around the early 70s, around 72, 73, I heard that tune. It's called 500 Miles High, and it just changed kind of the way I enjoyed specific kinds of jazz improvisation, and it kind of steered me into more of a contemporary sound that I was looking for, and I attributed that to Chick Corea. And again, Chick, I so miss you. Today's question comes from Michael in Newfoundland. Hello, Mr. Tachoir. It has been such a pleasure watching your videos. I have learned so much and watched most of them many times. And thank you, Michael, I appreciate that. I'm just curious. I know you started out as a drummer and then a classical percussionist. How did you come around to being a jazz mallet artist? Also, how hard is it to make a living as just a mallet player? Thanks in advance. Looking forward to your response. Best, Michael. Well, Michael, yes. Let me just kind of start out from the beginning that when I was in Pittsburgh, I told my parents at a very early age, I was about 6 or 7, that I was interested in playing drums. And of course, my parents were super supportive. They found the best teacher in the area. His name was Eugene Babe Fabrizi, and they took me to study with him. I went every Saturday for quite a long time. My mother would get off from work. We'd hop in the car and we'd go drive the 1 hour to Wilkinsburg, Pennsylvania, where I studied with Babe. That's what we called him. Babe was adamant in that you're not just going to be a drummer. He wanted you to be a percussionist. You're going to play everything, the timpani, all the hand drumming, all the the drum set, and then also the mallet instruments. When I got into the mallet instruments, it did something to me that I realized, wow, now not only am I just playing rhythms as a drummer or a percussionist, but now I could play melodies and I could play tunes, and all of a sudden chords opened up to me, and then the whole concept of being able to improvise on an instrument. And that's when I decided, wow, I really, really dig mallets. I kept all of my percussion together, but I really, really emphasized mallets. I was always very, very good at reading. For some reason, reading literature never was a challenge for me. And because of that, I won a lot of auditions into orchestras around the Pennsylvania area, and I did most of their playing as a mallet percussionist. Anytime they needed a mallet percussionist, I seemed to get the call. And not only for like orchestral things, but there was the Civic Light Opera, there was shows that came into town, and I was the guy, that was the go-to guy for the mallet world. And it was kind of nice because I just enjoyed what I was doing. And again, it was no challenge for me to be able to read the literature that was given. When I went to Berkeley, I was very fortunate that I had studied exclusively with Gary Burton, and I was inspired by his sense of not only technique, but his improvisational lines and his harmonic development, and I really, really worked hard on developing that and understanding what he was doing and how he was doing it. And that pretty much steered me as a mallet percussionist. I sort of got away from the drum set a bit. One day I remember taking out my drum set and setting it up, realizing that, wow, I don't sound like the people that I'm hearing at Berkeley. I'm kind of dated. So I sort of phased out of being a drum set player and also the percussion thing. I mean, I occasionally did some stuff where I had to play multiple percussion, but for the most part of it, I became, again, the mallet guy. So that's pretty much how I got into doing this. Now, as a classical musician, when I played mallets, obviously you're reading literature. They give you a piece of music, whenever you're playing Stravinsky, and you're playing the mallet parts, you're just reading them down. But once I went to Berkeley and I realized that I wanted to create. I wanted to play music that I was hearing and that I wanted to develop, and that's what got me into jazz. And I started just taking it and experimenting with reharmonizations and also improvisational development, lines and dissonance and resolution, and all the classes that I studied at Berkeley, and the world opened up to me. And that's when I decided at that time too that I wanted to play as Jerry Tachoir. I didn't want to play as a Stravinsky CD. In other words, I love the orchestra, I love the music, but there's not really a challenge for me. It's just read the literature over and over again, season after season after season, same thing, and I got where that was just not fun anymore. But as a jazz musician, every night I play a different tune. It's unique, it's original, it's creative, depending on who I'm playing with and how we're developing this stuff, and that really excited me. So anyway, that's how I got into the mallets. I play both vibes and marimba, and I use them both when I tour. I'm very fortunate now that I'm playing this extended range Bergeron instrument. I formed a relationship with them, and this is an amazing company that's been so popular and so loving of musicians and caring and great people. And my wife speaks French, so we get along really well with these. This is a French company, by the way. Now, in terms of making a living as a mallet player, I can tell you honestly that if you just say you're a vibraphone player, like your phone will never ring. And if you say you're a vibraphone player and a marimba player, your phone will definitely never ring. And it's one of those things that nobody really thinks of utilizing these instruments into their ensemble or their recording. Very, very few people. And so you basically have to be in a situation where you become the leader. You then create an environment where you're allowed to play your instrument creatively and surrounded by other musicians. And that's what I've pretty much done all my life. I've formed my own bands, and I've been very successful in recording and touring, doing clinics and things like that. So that helps a lot, obviously for your income. It used to be in the good old days when people bought recordings that you made a nice living from being a recording artist. You'd go into a studio, you'd record a record, you'd put it out, and then people would buy your record, and then you would tour to promote the record. Well, people don't buy music anymore. They stream everything, and there's just no money to be made in that. I mean, if you get like 10,000 streams on Spotify, you get 2 cents. So that's really no way to make a living. So that whole thing has changed. It's no longer as it used to be with the recording industry. So you're more relying on touring and being out there performing, because that's something that you can't do, basically virtually. You have to physically be playing your instrument. So making a living again has gotten more challenging. I'm very fortunate that I'm known again as the mallet guy. So here I am living in Nashville, Tennessee since 1979, and I'm pretty much established as, if you need a mallet percussionist, I'm your go-to guy. If it's a challenging part, I'm your go-to guy. I'm pretty much the one in Nashville that gets all the major calls for anything that happens with vibraphone and marimba on upscale recordings and things like that. I mean, there are a few other people, but then again, I'm sort of the guy. They know that I'm playing. This is my specialty instrument. I do nothing else, and I can do it for you. So anyway, with that being said, there isn't a lot of work as a mallet player. I mean, there are occasional things where people want some novelty effects, and they'll maybe hire a vibraphone player or a marimba player, and they'll call me to do it. But there really isn't that much. I do actually a lot of online things too, which is surprising. I put up a little thing, I forget, on one of the online services, and I was getting all these calls for, Jerry, we'd like you to take the digital part that you hear, the digital piano part, and replace it and play it on vibes. And I did this for a while, and one of them was very weird. It was some really weird stuff, very angular, things like that. And I finally asked the guy, I never met him, I finally asked him online, I said, so what am I recording? And it turned out video games. Little Mario, when he comes up on the marimba, that's me. You hear those sounds, and I've done most of those, I guess. And it's kind of fun. I do it in my studio. I got everything set up to do it. I read the music down, record it. I send the file off to him through the internet. I get paid through PayPal or Venmo, and it's a real clean transaction, and that's worked out really well. I do a good bit of that, and it's kind of fun because I could do it at my leisure. My touring schedule is such that I've gotten really busy, especially here in the summer or jazz festival season, a lot of running around doing things. This fall we're going to be very busy doing a lot of college dates and a lot of clinics, so we'll be everywhere from Pennsylvania, Ohio, we're heading out to Colorado and Utah, and we've just got the whole United States covered. Next winter, I hope to be in Europe. I'm going to go to France and visit the Bergerol company and chit-chat with them a little bit. So that's another source of income, is to be able to record video games and projects for other people. I also have my own record label, which generates a nominal income because of the industry is so screwy right now. I have educational videos out, which generate some income. I do a lot of clinics. I get called to do master classes at universities all the time. So that's a real nice way to come in and educate and make a living. And also we tend to do an evening concert, which then promotes that as well. So you kind of have to diversify. You have to you can't just say, I'm a vibraphone player and this is all I'm going to do, because you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle to make a living. But if you have your act together, like I have a publishing company, record label, my clinic schedule, my touring, my band, and also lately I've been doing a whole lot of work with my wife, who's a brilliant keyboard player, piano player, and vocalist, and she scat sings, and she plays. She's got perfect pitch, so it's just amazing what we do. And that's been a lot of fun because it's real easy. You just show up, the piano is there, I bring my vibes, we play, and it's just magical. So that's something else we do. And that's really all I can offer in terms of making a living, Michael. I mean, it's something that is a different time. It's different than it was in the 70s when people made nice income from going to the recording studio. I remember when I first moved to Nashville, they told me the session work here is set up that you have a 10, a 2, a 6, and an 8, which means you can do 4 recording sessions a day, 10 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 6 in the evening, and then 10 at night. And you could do 4 of them. And people were actually going from studio to studio at that time, doing recordings for people and making a really nice living. Then MIDI came in and that kind of went away, and then there's a vibes button on most MIDI keyboards. I mean, it doesn't sound like vibes, but people think it does because it says vibes on it. And that has replaced a lot of work too, because they hit that vibes button and the keyboard player will do it. So it's a different world and it's a challenge, but you know, if with perseverance and really wanting to do it, you can make it work. So I wish you the best. I hope I gave you the information you're looking for, but it's just, again, it's just a challenge. And I was very fortunate that I came, I guess, at the right time. I caught sort of the tail end of the heyday of music development and recording into now it's more of you got to perform, you got to play, you got to be visible, and you got to get out there and do it. So thank you so much, Michael, for your question. I look forward to more questions. And please, if you want to ask me a question, go to my website, which is tachoir.com, Tachoir.com. In the upper right-hand corner is a little contacts tab. Just click on that, fill in your name and information, ask your question, and we'll do one of these videos for you. And please, if you can, subscribe to this channel. It tends to help a little bit, and also you get notified when a new video comes out. So thanks again, Michael, and everybody else. I wish you the best.